But as far as like when you just portray yourself to be a victim, when you talk to people, like listen to people how they talk. Do they make themselves sound very dramatic, the victimhood and woe is me? Or is it more of like stories of overcoming adversity? You know what I'm saying? Like as if the world, like everybody else ain't got problems. We all got fucking problems. And that's the truth of the matter, is that we all have fucking issues. What I will say is that, you know, people can be very draining when they come to you with their, like I said, with their problems, looking for you to fix it. That's the thing. Looking for you to fix it. Or like when people want to start a conversation with you and they speak it in a way where they're talking, looking for validation. That shit is annoying to me. I find that to be very annoying when somebody is like talking to me and like just create a conversation that I didn't agree to. You know what I mean? Like commonly like in grocery stores, you'll be like in the line will be long, and then that person in front of you or behind you will say something in the sense of like, I guess the best way for me to describe it is like, for once is something that requires me to suffer.
Roll me, Mac.
What's something you learn about yourself through failure? Well, through my failures, I've learned that you can get back up. For the most part. I mean, as long as the individual, like if it's involving a person and they're willing to make amends to the relationship, sure, you can, you know what I'm saying, you can get back up from failure. It shows how human you are. It definitely shows that you're not perfect. And being somebody that is pride themselves based off of trauma that they've experienced in life, trying to be perfect in every aspect, it's a humbling situation, is what it, you know, is what failure has taught me, you know, to not beat yourself up about it. And I mean, it is what it is. I mean, just as human as anybody else. That's really what failure has definitely taught me. And even people that you've critiqued, criticized throughout your life, seeing it from their perspective as well, you know, and failure, you know what I'm saying? Like doing the best you can with the knowledge that you have, that is, you know, and I think that's where growth comes in, when you see it from another person's perspective, when they were just giving the best that they could, you know what I mean? And then to see yourself in a similar position to where you felt like you were doing the best that you could, that you knew how. You know, and then to deal with that and be like, okay, it all makes sense now. And you got to give credit where credit is due, and also hold yourself accountable too when you did not put forth said effort. You know what I mean? That you probably could have going forward. But that's where failure comes in. Failure shows that, one, you're trying. Failure shows that you're trying. in most cases, you know what I'm saying? Obviously, like when you make mistakes and all that stuff. And two, what it does is give you an opportunity to be better and figure out exactly how you're going to overcome said obstacle. But yeah, failure's taught me that definitely relentless, constantly trying, keep going until you get it. I mean, there's a lot of times where I would just take my ball and go home type thing. You know, a lot of other times it's more like, okay, how the fuck are we gonna go about beating this thing? It's like getting stuck at a stage where, like, you know, a video game or something like that, and you're not sure how to beat this boss. Recently, I had something like that, you know, just gaming or whatever, and then it's just trying to overcome beating this boss. I'm like, how the fuck am I supposed to do this thing? And you keep failing, you keep getting up, you know what I'm saying? You keep failing, and then your mind is each time is trying to figure out ways to overcome it the next time that you're faced with the very same situation. So, yeah, I say failure shows that how much strength you have. How much is it worth to you? Are you gonna keep learning how to walk? You know what I'm saying? Like, how many times will you fail before you learn how to walk? And that's the thing. I mean, if there was, you know, you look at a kid, you know what I'm saying, learning how to walk, and I was like, oh, I guess this ain't for me. Or you can stay with it and keep going at it, right? You just keep going at it and not shame yourself. Not, you know what I'm saying? Beat yourself up of not getting it right the first time. You know what I mean? Like figuring out how to navigate new ways to move forward with that obstacle so that you can overcome it, so that you can conquer it, achieve the goal. And I think I just love that about adversity. And as far as my character and a lot of things, you know, there's a lot of times in life where I quit. I quit on a lot of things in life, you know, video games and, you know, just a lot of things. Wherever you quit, that's where you got to pick up. You know what I mean? You have to start over and do it. And that's going to be even more, you know, because it's like you left the grade. But you can move forward. You can learn. Do your best. And, you know, but literally giving your best. Giving your best effort. The only effort you can control is your side. Just keep staying with it. Staying with the course. Staying with the obstacle, if it means something to you. And going forward and being like, okay, this is the mess we're in. How are we going to get out of it? And you know, like I said, putting your best foot forward and figuring out how you're going to achieve the goal. How do you know the difference between your wants and your needs? Well, I believe that needs, like my needs per se, is something now, especially now, is something now that I can essentially provide because I'm a grown up, right? I believe when we were young, that especially when we were kids, we looked to our parents for those actual needs that had to be met, whether that be emotional needs, whether that be social needs, whether that be the financial needs, what have you. As you get older, you recognize that part of being an adult is being self-sufficient. So there's like, I guess the best way for me to describe it is like, for wants is something that requires me to suffer. You know what I mean? Like desires it's not something I'm not able to live without. Like gaming, clothes, clothes is needed to walk around. But as far as like the flashy shit, like an abundance of clothes and all that stuff, like clothes are a need, you know, obviously to deal with the terrain and the, you know, weather and all that stuff. But desires is like me wanting to have a gang of hats, a gang of like clothes, a gang of, you know, again, jewelry, accessories and all that stuff. Like to me, that's a desire. But a need is more like, to me, where I'm not able to live without it. Like water, water, food, and I say water, food, clothing, and you know what I'm saying. And really, now that as I'm getting older, mastering my emotions is a need, much so a need. for me. I can't speak on anybody else, but being able to master your emotions when you want to quit, when you want to give up on things, it's needed, that focus to drive and stay on the purpose and recognize why you're doing this thing. But desires is more like, the things we don't need. It makes us suffer if we don't have it. If you know what I'm saying? Like, I suffer if I don't have this thing. Like, because I'm desire, it's a desire to me. You know what I'm saying? Like, if it's a person, do you need that person to survive? No, then that's a desire. I desire, desiring her, desiring him. You know what I mean? But as far as like the need, I was living well long before I met them. You know what I mean? That's that's not a need. Water, food, clothing. You know what I'm saying? And being able to master yourself. To me, those are needs. I think those are essential. I believe those are essential needs that for me in this life is to do that. Being able to master that. Now, desiring is like wanting say like you're desiring this relationship. You're desiring this like to see this movie. You're desiring to, you know what I'm saying, to be with this person. You're desiring to have a nice house, and then there you have that too. So a need is housing, something like a form of housing, because obviously our ancestors were able to survive on less means, but it's a different world that they were living in. But like housing, I would say, is like a need of, you know what I'm saying, to live. Like Wi-Fi is a desire, need to some people, but depending on, I guess, your businesses. But there was a point in time when we didn't have Wi-Fi. Internet is a desire. The social media is a desire. It's not something that you necessarily need. Is it beneficial to businesses? Is it beneficial to communicating with others? Sure. But as far as it being like an actual need, I don't believe it is. Not for me. It's not an actual need. It's for me. I can live without it. After the withdrawals, like the dopamine withdrawals of not having it, eventually you'll be okay without it. But living without water, after a while it's going to eat at you. So, I look at that as the difference between desires and needs. Like desiring to look like the Hulk or something like that, like in the gym, something like that's a desire. It's not necessarily a need, it's a want. You know what I'm saying? It's like, it's something that I want. It's something I'm aspiring to have. But if I don't get it, if I'm upset because I don't get it, then I suffer. You know what I'm saying? But I don't necessarily need it. So, I look at those differences between wants, needs, and like I said, in that manner. But I don't think there's anything wrong with having wants. Obviously, I don't think there's any, obviously having needs is, that's great. It's something that you're not able to live without. That's how I look at a need. It's something that you're not able to live without. Food, water, shelter is, there's people that live without housing. So I guess you can say that that's not necessarily a need, maybe like individuals that sleep on the street or what have you. But I would say for a sound mind, I think shelter is something that I would consider to be a need. Cleanliness and all that, you know what I mean? But they do survive without, not because they not necessarily want to, but they do survive without it. But as far as the wants, needs, I consider, for me, the wants, like desires is like me wanting to wanting to play basketball, and I'm not able to play it like I used to anymore. So kind of suffer with it, you know what I'm saying? Because I'm not able to play the game the way I wish that I once, that I could. Desires are wanting to get a raise, wanting to, you know what I'm saying, for taxes to roll in my favor each year. But if I don't get it, then I don't get it, you know what I mean? But if I piss and moan about it, of course I'm going to suffer. But as far as, the needs go, food, water, shelter, what did I say? Food, water, shelter, and truly just mastering yourself. I think that's a need for me. I do my best to try to master those emotions that that arise, especially when I don't have control over anyone and you're trying to control the uncontrollable. The only thing you can do is control yourself. So that's it. You can control your response. And so mastery of self, food, shelter, and water. How do you entertain yourself when people are not around? When people are not around, there's a lot of brainstorming. There's a lot of singing. Definitely a lot of singing. Mostly like 70s soul records. I think that's my the go-to. 80s too. Putting an R&B spin on, probably rock records, pop records, and shit like that. But watch TV, The Office, Martin, for the most part. I mean, that's it. That's pretty much it. Cut the deck. Studying a lot, watching a lot of things on YouTube. Watching a lot of courses, different things on YouTube. Window shopping for fashion, for sure. Definitely window shopping for fashion. Entertaining yourself when no one else is around. Books. Definitely reading. I'd say that. Yeah, definitely reading books. Right now, it's Footballs for Dummies. And it's interesting, it's a very different insight on football now. So trying to, learn to look at it from that of a player and a coach versus that of a spectator. And it's been pretty cool. But yeah, like studying fashion, window shopping for fashion, watching TV, even some movies too. Like a lot of movies from from childhood. Even the new ones too that kind of stand out. But cooking, yeah, cooking too. Cooking is something that I take part in. But I'm not a cook. It's more of a survival thing for me. I would prefer to just cook. All right, man, we got something to eat. That's it. Anything more? I know how to spice it up, flavor it up, and all that stuff. But as far as the standing there watching people eat, that's not really my thing. That's more like I give that to like the chefs of the world that like to do stuff like that. But I'd say those are the things that I like to do to entertain myself when nobody's around. What makes you feel confident in how you carry yourself? I'd say what makes me feel confident in as far as how I carry myself on a day-to-day basis is knowing that I don't owe anybody anything and no one owes me anything. Like I'm only responsible for me. It makes it easier. I spent a lot of my life trying to be responsible for others and how they felt and their emotions and all that other shit, but I'm only responsible for me. What makes me feel confidence? Little goals that I set each day. Like every day, there's something to study, and yeah, it's for me to learn, but it's also for me to accomplish these things. Otherwise, it's Groundhog's Day every day. I'm a hamster in a wheel. I'm doing the same thing, and the ship's going nowhere. But setting up little things, goals, weekly, daily, monthly, and yearly, what that does is give you something to work towards, and your ship knows where it's headed. I find it to be helpful. I just find it, so like when I'm able to knock out certain things, it allows me to be more confident. It allows me to be, assured of myself and getting things done. And practice makes progress. So the more you practice on this thing, the better, the more confidence you'll have in doing so. It's like trying to, ride a bike for the first time. First time you ride the bike, you might not necessarily have it all straight, you know what I'm saying? Like you might need a little bit of training wheels, if you will. But after a while being on the bike, it becomes familiar to you. You start to learn the mechanics. But what happens when I do this? What happens when I go this way and all that? You know what I'm saying? So now I'm able to gauge this obstacle in a better way each time, from touching it, from facing it, from dealing with it. And that's the beauty of building confidence, is continuously working at something every day, learning about something every day, figuring out what can be accomplished in each day towards this particular goal. And what I like to do, like I said, each day is study. You study a different subject for each day of the week, subjects for different day of the week for that matter, and stay with it, and then figure out how I can utilize it in my day to day. Honestly, like Wednesdays are psychology and mental health, so I try to study. I do my best to study everything pertaining to psychology, mental health. Thursdays is financial literacy, so trying to understand what I can do to help my finances going forward. And and it becomes, like I said, definitely has become helpful. So the more I work at it, the more I deal with it, the more I engage with it, the confidence comes. The confidence, it gets bigger. It continues to grow. At the same time, remaining humble and remaining a student. Number one, being a student throughout life, because you don't know enough. You don't know enough to not learn anything more. Every day is a lesson, but all things take time, and it's just working to be more, like I said, more confident, believing in yourself that you can. If you don't believe in yourself, nobody else is. Nobody's going to believe in you. So it's constantly just taking the steps, take the necessary steps. So that's where I would say, like, my confidence comes from, is taking the day-to-day goals, the daily goals, working on little things, worrying about self, focusing on self, and not really trying to engage in day-to-day gossip, much ado about nothing news, staying focused on what actually pertains to me and not what pertains to other people's lives is essential piece for me, trying to better myself and how I can be a better person, better man, better father, better worker, better friend, better what have you. You know what I'm saying? So each day, there's something set up to where it's helping me to become better at this particular part of my life. And like I said, the more that you work at yourself, the more that you put into yourself, the more that you build into yourself, the more confident you become at being you on a day-to-day basis. You know what I mean? You take the bumps, you take them, you study, you learn from them, you keep moving forward. Really, I like that. Again, I love that line from Rocky, life is all about how much you can take and keep moving forward. Because life's going to hit you in ways that you can't even imagine, can't even fathom. So, with that being said, those are the things that I do to move forward with confidence on a day-to-day basis, by the little goals, by setting up little goals, like making sure going to the gym, making sure like for me, listening to Proverbs in the morning, listening to positive affirmations, giving gratitude back to God and the universe, and then preparing to do the little small day-to-day stuff. But yeah, I think that's essentially it. Yeah, that's it. Good night, kids.